I don't even know if I'll post this video, but I started off this morning, Monday morning, excuse me, thinking that I wanted to just talk about a few random things. I've been busy traveling lately. As you know, I went to Arkansas for the total eclipse with a friend of mine. And yeah, that didn't turn out good for photography because things were not set correctly on the cameras, but the experience was not hindered, and it was fun. But what I wanted to talk about was more nebulous than anything else, scatterbrained possibly. But a few, or at least one person, but a few have made mention that maybe a live video stream might be fun to do in the future. And if you, some of you that are watching this, if you want to participate in a live video where I can look at my phone or whatever for the questions, and so we do question and answer type thing. If even a half dozen of you want to do something like that, I would definitely look into it and see what I have to do something like that. I'm not opposed to that. And in fact, it would probably be an excellent way to just communicate back and forth on a live stream and answer questions. Not that I'm the all-knowing guru that people are so used to talking to. I feel like I know more than any other guru about the true information regarding spirituality and enlightenment, such like Buddha or Guru, the Buru, the Buru, the Buru, Jesus, or anybody that has firsthand information about enlightenment, that sort of thing. I feel like I have a pretty strong standing in that. But in regards to quoting scripture and Veda and stuff like that, yeah, I've read the stuff, but that doesn't mean I have instant recall for what it says in there, and I'm not really all that interested in that sort of thing anyways, because for the most part, it has been corrupted over the centuries, and it leads people astray. So, with that commercial out of the way, one of the things I wanted to talk about is how difficult it is to understand a lot of spiritual concepts, if not all spiritual concepts. And for me personally, I forget a lot of times how difficult it is. But I do recall incidences. For instance, I remember working at the fire department when I was in training, and I remember thinking, oh my God, this is impossible. I don't know how anyone can possibly learn and know all the things that you're going to need to know. I was in the fire department academy doing training and all the stuff. There was 12 other firefighters that were in training, and it was every single day in the academy. It was just 10 hours a day of, and when I say the academy, it was actually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for months. And yeah, there was just so much. I just didn't know how it was possible anyone could possibly know all that stuff. And I just basically had my fingers crossed thinking, hopefully I can get through this somehow. I don't know how. And then, 10 years later, looking back on it and thinking, well, why did I think it was so difficult? It's not that difficult at all to do my job. I mean, physically it might be difficult on a big fire, but all the things that you have to learn, no, that's not difficult. But I thought it was 10 years earlier. I remember working at a construction company one time thinking, it was like my first or second day, and I thought, how is it possible to learn all this stuff? The brain isn't big enough to contain all the information necessary to do this. And then years later, thinking how simple it really was. So I can put myself in your shoes. And if you think learning about spiritual concepts, and if you think that learning about enlightenment and learning about the nature of God and all these sorts of things, if you think it's easy, then something has gone awry. You're not going to learn this stuff until you become engrossed in it and think, I don't know how I'm going to learn all this stuff. It's not even possible. I don't know how, looking at me, John, can know all these things. He must be some sort of a supernatural being. Or looking at anyone that you might assume to be an enlightened master and thinking, wow, that person is like some sort of supernatural being, because how can they know all this spiritual information, experientially speaking? If you can think that, then good, you're on the right track, because it is that hard. But if you're thinking it's easy, you're never going to learn it. But I will tell you, every single one of you can learn this stuff. From my perspective, it is easy. Now, when I say it's easy, it's only easy because I know most of this stuff. But even me, I have, for instance, a couple people that email me, and we have conversations back and forth. One in particular by the name of Benjamin. I actually spend a lot of time reading his questions and comments. And so, no, even for me, it's not easy, because I have to sit there and contemplate the questions as I'm reading them. And I can spend hours a day sometimes just answering something that you might assume would take, 5-10 minutes. And in fact, it takes me 3 or 4 hours to answer a single email question. When I say question, no, he might shoot me 4, 5, or 6 questions. But in those 4, 5, 6 questions, I can spend 4 or 5 hours answering them. So yeah, even for me, it's not that I don't know the information, and it's not that it's not on the tip of my tongue knowing, or that it's ever present in my mind, but to articulate it correctly in written format as well as the spoken language, it's extremely difficult to articulate properly, because I'm converting. It's like everything you know, and now I'm speaking where you might want to listen, because this is kind of important. It's like what I'm doing, it's like everything that you are aware of. And when I say you, I'm talking about the average human being, or let's say the average spiritual human being even. 100% of what you think is existing, and 100% of what you think is real, meaning everything in the physical realm and everything in the spiritual realm. 100% of all of that you think is what exists is only one dimension, for instance. one dimension, be that third dimension, fourth, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it is one dimension, and you think that it is like 12 dimensions of reality, or you think it's all the dimensions of reality, including God and Brahman and everything under the sun. But in fact, it's just one dimension. And so what happens, why it takes me hours to answer a question, it's because I'm converting what I am, like currently right now, this second, currently experiencing in a realm that isn't this realm. And everything that you think exists, it isn't there. It's somewhere else. And I'm using this physical body that I'm able to communicate with you through in this dimension. I'm converting something else into a language, be it written or verbal, to try to explain things to you that cannot exist in this dimension. It's impossible. And so the words that I use in the language and the written language is like the scenario of the finger pointing to the moon. I am using the verbal language and the written language and expressions and everything that this physical body is capable of as a way to guide you to information that you cannot possess, hold, or understand in this realm, in this dimension. And that's basically what enlightenment is all about. It is about experientially, I won't say escaping this realm or this dimension, because you can't. You cannot escape this. You can be in two places at once, but you cannot escape this reality. There never has, it can't happen. For instance, Jesus was hung on a cross and killed. All that means is he exited this reality. So if you want to exit this reality, you must die. But you can be in two places at once because you're not really here. I mean, okay, so that thing's over. The next thing I want to talk about is how incredibly confusing it must be for you listening to me. I have heard this from so many people that I love and trust, and they trust me, that they will say, when you are speaking about deep doctrinal spiritual concepts, it's almost like I would, when I say I'm acting as if I'm someone else talking to me personally. They would say, it's almost like I would think you're lying to me because you say one thing and then you turn around and deny what you just told me. And then you explain one thing and then you turn around and say that what I said isn't true. And you counteract yourself all the time. How can I believe you when what you tell me, and then the next thing, it's a lie? I'm not lying. But the way this reality exists, and when I say this reality, we are living on a planet that we're in the kingdom of Satan. And some in Hinduism would call it the kingdom of Shiva. And that God is the God that is all powerful, and this is his home, so to say. So we are the interlopers. And so it is exceedingly difficult to understand spiritual things that cannot be understood in this reality. And so, because of the rules, so to say, of this reality, there's no way to tell the truth without going deeper in the truth and counteracting that truth. Now, am I counteracting that truth? No. But you're going to have to trust me. Jesus spoke about faith all the time. Faith, faith, faith. But what is faith? I mean, from the perspective of how Jesus taught it, faith would be like I'm just going to use crass language to explain what Jesus spoke of. Faith would be like, oh, I'm telling you something that all of your senses and your brain and everything else is telling you, oh, it isn't true what this guy's telling me. And then faith is, let's explain faith. Faith is a word that tries to express to you saying, hey, look, you're going to have to believe me on this particular subject, even though you think it isn't true. Even though your mind, your brain, your senses say, oh, that guy is lying, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so Jesus would say, oh, well, you have to take it upon faith if you want to understand what I'm teaching you. So another way of putting it is like the word intuition is a way of putting it. What is intuition? Well, intuition is shall I say, a process of accessing information that is not found in this realm. And you're getting it from yourself that is not in this realm. Yourself, meaning your essence, your Atman, which isn't here. It is, because here you're just functioning through an avatar. Whatever human body form you have, it's only an avatar that allows you to exist within the realm of Satan. I know, I'm all over the map today. And I think I'm all over the map because I wanted to just communicate with you, my friends, those whom I love, and those that I know are seeking spiritual information, and it's so rare to find spiritual information that's true. And so the few that watch these videos are seeking that. Okay, I think one of the last things I wanted to talk about, which seems to be totally unrelated to anything spiritual, but in fact it is, and I have never spoken about this. And the reason I've never spoken about it is because it is so damned controversial, like unbelievably controversial, like off the charts, to the point where I'm going to speak about it and sparks are going to fly with you people that are watching this video, because it will either strike you as an extreme negative and you will not watch my videos anymore, or the opposite. But if you don't understand what I'm saying, Well, like Jesus, I'd have to say you're going to have to take it on faith. Until you know internally what the truth really is, you're going to have to take it upon faith. So what am I speaking about? I'm speaking about a multi-pronged effort from satanic sources to pervert your gender identity. I want to say this before I say anything else. I have a granddaughter that is gay. I have a sister-in-law that's gay. I know a lot of gay people. I love those people. I don't have anything against those people. I do not think those people are evil in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, the ones that I know are way more, shall I say, loving and righteous than most people I can think of that are religious or very religious. So let me get that off my chest right now before you make any accusations that I'm against that sort of thing. But I'm making this crystal clear. If you have a problem, or let's put it this way, because you don't have a problem if you're gay, obviously, in your mind. If you identify yourself differently than what the avatar is that you are functioning through, then you are not going to become enlightened in this lifetime. You are not going to become one with God in this lifetime. And you guaranteed 100% will not become God enlightened in this lifetime. Why? Because you are not seeing, or you are not accepting reality or accepting things as they truly are. Now, is that an evil thing? I will not judge that. I will tell you from my personal point of view, I don't think it's an evil thing. But it is a thing that prohibits you from excelling, spiritually speaking. And when I say excelling into the highest degree of spiritual understandings. You will be inhibited from going beyond normal spiritual awareness level. How far does that extend? Well, like currently in the world, men and women, or let's say that, are not getting married and are not having children and are not raising families. Why? Well, there's a multitude of reasons. But there are two responsibilities of every human that is born. One responsibility is to yourself, and the other is to the society in which you are born. If you are selfish by nature, then you may not know how to make friends with the opposite sex in such a way that you want to be together throughout your life. What are the causes of that? Like I said, there's a multitude. Me personally, as a man, I have never had a problem having or getting girlfriends. In fact, it's just the opposite. I've had so many friends that are women or girls that it's absolutely incredible. Why? Because I have the absolute utmost respect for the opposite sex. But at the same time, if you didn't know I was who I am through these videos, if you didn't know I was a spiritual person that does what I do, if you didn't know that, if you just met me on the street and you were a woman, for instance, you would come off as thinking, oh, well, there is a man that is a man, and he's a badass man. He uses profanity, he rides a motorcycle, he's a woodworker, he doesn't take shit from anyone. That's the way I would come across. But at the same time, extremely gentle. I love babies and children. I would never disrespect a woman. But at the same time, I'm not, well, for lack of better words, a pussy. I'm a man. That comes across as I'm flirting with women most of the time. I'm not, but it appears that way. And I'm not afraid to talk to the opposite sex because I love people. And I can separate the avatar body from the spiritual entity that is operating through the physical body. And so most men, I would assume, only see the physical body of the woman. And so they're either repulsed or they're attracted. And they have no awareness of the spiritual essence of the woman that's functioning through the avatar physical body. And I'm sure that's true in the opposite direction. So where do I go with that concept? I could get a lot deeper with it, but I have said, it's probably been several years ago now, but I'll reiterate that the reason people are gay, for instance, they don't know why they're gay. They may think they know why, but they don't know. The reason is because all of us are reborn, reincarnated into a physical human being numerous times, but not always as a male and not always as a female. As you progress spiritually, you're going to have to experience everything to be able to know the truth of everything if you are going to become like and one with God. So you cannot live a life or a reality totally devoid of the understanding of the opposite sex. You're going to have to be both. So people that are gay, let's say a woman was a woman in 10 lifetimes, and then on the 11th lifetime has decided, okay, well, I need to progress my understandings and stuff, and so this time I'm going to be born as a man. So they're born into a man avatar. But their proclivities are not that of a man, but instead that of a female. And so they refuse to accept the reality that, in fact, they are a woman in a man's body. So I think I will end with that and tell you that I love you and that I appreciate the comments that people make, and I appreciate you tuning in. And more than anything else, I appreciate all of those that communicate with me. And with that, I will close and tell you I love you, and I hope you have a good week. Bye.